Tim, so this video is going to be about how to break into fashion and how you as a person did it.
Well, I wasn't white, Middle Eastern, or privileged, so... But hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a small video on how I broke into the fashion industry and what I'm currently doing, and talk about how to kind of branch out if you are based in the creative sphere. So before I continue, please make sure you turn on your post notifications, hit the subscribe button, and hit a like. Let's get started. Okay, so firstly, I studied fashion design. I went to a local university called ESMOD that is also associated with the university in Paris. And it was a great experience for me. It was a learning experience. It really enriched me with, the knowledge and the skill set that I needed in order to be the best designer that I could be. That being said, of course, I'd always had a passion for clothing and illustration and fabrics, and going into that university wasn't just something I decided to do randomly, unlike quite a few of the people that I encountered in my class that were all, or at least a lot of them were very wealthy, and they basically were bored and had, no goals or aspirations beyond that. And we all know how the industry works, but for those of you that are watching at home, it is quite tough to succeed as a designer with your own funding. You typically do require the help of an investor, but that's a story for another time. So my first step was to kind of get the educational qualifications that I needed in order to succeed in my career. And I did that by going to ESMOD, after which I graduated and really reached out to local designers in order to gather the work experience that I needed. And after working for several designers, I did decide that it really wasn't for me. Working in that capacity for other designers was just not for me, because truth be told, there's a difference between working for Chanel or Christian Dior or the House of Fendi and working for somebody who is privileged and has bought the rights to be exposed in magazines or has great events. And I think that really reflects in your resume. This isn't about shading anyone. This is just the reality of what it is. If my resume says I worked at or interned at Chanel for a year, it's definitely going to speak more volumes than working for an emerging label that the rest of the world has not heard of. So my first step, or my first key to all of you that are watching at home, is to seek an internship after graduation or pre-graduation. Really seek an internship with a renowned label. They're very hard to come by, so please make sure when you are selecting your university, you pick a university that has great relationships and partnerships with brands, because the bigger the university, the more chances that they will link you with the relevant brands that can really help you in your goal towards becoming the next best thing in your field. So what I did was get the work experience that I needed from designers, but however, and this is where being your own person really comes into play, I had a blog at that time where I continued to ramble on about my life. Should I have taken it seriously or more seriously? Yes, I should have. I did not. While I did call it my baby, I really wasn't too in tune with how to really monetize my blog in order to grow myself and grow me as a brand. And of course, at the time, I had so many other things that I needed to focus on. I was just coming into my own. I had ups and downs with friends and bad relationships, and just the struggle and the pressure of trying to keep up with having to do a 9-to-5 job and really prove myself constantly. Because if you guys think this journey was easy, and my journey's not done. I'm not talking to you from a pedestal. I'm talking to you from a chair in my living room, because you know what? This is a struggle. This is a climb, and we're all in it together. Like Miley Cyrus said, the climb, okay? So first steps first, make sure you know what you're doing. Second step, make sure you also take the time to focus on creative endeavors outside of your 9 to 5 or outside of your set pattern. That means, for example, if you are in university, make sure you also have side hustles going on to really feed into your life. And that really will come into play later on at a different stage, because, you know, focusing your energy only on university or only on a 9 to 5 is going to limit your chances of success. You will only then have one outlet to bring in the coin or bring in the stimulation or bring in the happiness. Whereas it only makes common sense that if you have 5 different paths, then each path will bring you more happiness, more success, more lessons even. I'm not saying that, you know, 4 out of those 5 won't be great, but what I'm saying is at least 4 out of those 5 could end up enriching your life and will end up enriching your life. That being said, at the time, the vlog led me to really apply myself as a fashion writer, to the point that I actually received the attention of an editor at a website called stylehunter.com, which was a major fashion platform in Australia. The fact that an editor from stylehunter.com contacted me all the way, you know, from Australia, and this was before I traveled there as well, to ask me to write about local-based fashion events in Dubai and cover fashion-related events was incredible to me. And of course, to me, it was something that I celebrated, and now even talking about it in this video really makes me think, wow, like the fact that my work spoke so much about me and about my capabilities that an editor would contact me is still to this day unbelievable. But of course, a lot of people around me didn't really take it seriously. My parents didn't really bat an eyelid about it, because it wasn't the traditional 9 to 5. So I was left to celebrate my own success myself, which is fine, because again, different backgrounds, different timing, different, different time. I'm sure for those of you that are watching at home, your parents came from a different time when things were different. So it's natural, especially if you're in a creative sphere, to not have the same sense of appreciation for what you're doing and what you're trying to do, as opposed to the appreciation that you have. So once I started writing for stylehunter.com, I really gained more access to a lot of local-based fashion events. Whenever I would go to Fashion Forward, for example, or I would attend a brand launch, I would receive so much more attention and so much more recognition, because I did have a platform backing me. I did have an international appeal to me with a celebrated name, and that I used to build my contacts. Again, I really didn't utilize my successes as much as I should have. In hindsight, I really should have approached it with the same level of precision that I do other elements of my life. But of course, there were fashion parties, there were fashion events, there were free-flowing drinks, and a lot of friends that moved around like a revolving door. It was constant, and I loved every minute of it. However, if I could talk back to young me, or to you in this case, focus on your goals so you can enjoy your life on the daily basis, but you can also have your eye on the prize 24/7, okay? And of course, along the way, through my work with Style Hunter, I did manage to then break into a regional magazine called Mojé. Mojé is a wonderful luxury publication, and they focus on luxury lifestyle, and they work with some of the biggest brands in the world, including Chanel, Dior, Fendi, Ferragamo, all of them, okay? And the fact that I was recommended through one of my good friends, who also works at a PR agency, who used to work at a PR agency, for that role, and that I got an interview in, and that I was hired first as a junior editorial assistant, and that I was the only South Asian on the team, was such a huge accomplishment to me. And I look back at that moment and I think I had a fair understanding of what that meant, but looking back and thinking that there wasn't a single member of color on that team aside from myself who was both writing and styling, really speaks volumes about what you can do and what you can accomplish. However, it also speaks volumes about having a great database of contacts, because the way that you will really get your foot in the door is the right type of reference from the right type of person. So always make sure that the people you surround yourself with are the type of people that see your talent and want to celebrate it 24/7, because that is how you will move forward. Now, as a full disclaimer, what I'm saying isn't to use people. What I'm saying is to surround yourself with people who celebrate you and vice versa, because you then grow in a full circle that is full of positivity, success, and just a greater appreciation of those successes. That being said, once that job had reached an end, because there was a point when in between that job and in between doing my own brand, because at that time I'd also launched my own brand, Avastave, which was successful, and I had a fair amount of engagement when I first launched the brand, and I even received a lot of magazine features. However, my point is, always remember to think about yourself and where you want to go in life. I could have very well sat back and enjoyed, receiving this salary on the monthly and just be content with that, being content to go out to brunches, buy myself designer clothes. There was a fair amount of that, not gonna lie. However, I did concentrate and save to launch my own label funded solely by myself, and I'm so proud of that. Like, I never look back and think, oh, I wish I had done it this way. I don't, because that is life, and you can always look back and think, I wish I had done things this way, but it's also important to remember that you grew from that experience, you grew from that lesson. So after I launched my label was the same time that job came to an end. There was no moving forward there. They basically wanted me to take on a role that I was not comfortable with, and I decided to say goodbye. Now, truth be told, it was less of a peace out, I'm walking out, and more of a you either take this or you're gone. I didn't take it, so I was let go. There's no shame in that. Sometimes as an Asian person, it's very difficult for you to let go of opportunities, because let's be real, the opportunities for us sometimes aren't in abundance unless, again, you have the citizenship or you're based in a place, in a country which supports you 100%. I, however, am not, but that's fine. Okay, after I left Moshe, I started just freelancing. I started freelancing as a fashion writer. I received a lot of requests from travel agencies, from boutique brands, from small independent labels, and I really kept myself going, which is, I think, around the same time. I can't really remember now. It's foggy to me because I'm ancient. But of course, aside from freelancing, I was also working on the YouTube channel. You guys, it was a lot for me to maintain my social connections, do YouTube, be looking for 9 to 5, and be doing freelance jobs, and maintain my relationships with family, with friends. But I did it because I am focused on my goal. And what I want you to take away from this video is that your goal is effervescent. It's constantly evolving and changing. So if you don't get to where you want to be in a specific field, don't worry, don't sweat it. You will get to where you were meant to get in the end. Your goal evolves, and I believe that is the key to just being constant and being consistent and being happy. You can't focus on the things that you do not get in life. You need to focus on the things that really do bring you joy and the things that you do get in your life. For me, YouTube has brought me so much joy in terms of interaction and communication and just my connections with people. I see so many more new followers engaging with my content, and it really brings me happiness because it is time from my day. Like, I take it very seriously, and I really appreciate the support and the help. That being said, after my time working for a regional publication, I moved on to a place called The Goodness Company. Quite the opposite of that name, to be honest. However, without going too deep into that rabbit hole, the point is that I received that job offer and I received that job. And the job was as a digital editor, going from a junior editorial assistant to a senior editorial assistant, and then going on to be a freelance fashion writer, paid freelance fashion writer, and then being hired as a digital editor was a great title for me and a great title to have on my resume, which is why I decided to move on with a company that was F&B, whereas my primary focus and my primary experience was previously in luxury fashion brands. You have to be able to adapt, especially in the creative market where the jobs are so few and far between. You need to be able to constantly and consistently move forward and evolve with the time and with the tide. I stayed at that company for about less than a year because they really didn't share the same values that I had or the same approach to work. And I think when the time comes, you know when the time is right to say goodbye. You know when something is no longer feeding your soul, and that's what I did. And I knew it in 6 months, and I was like, peace and love, but I gotta go. I got to bounce, and I did. And since then, I've been working with some incredible people on freelance projects, of course, paid jobs, because you have to be paid, you guys. Do your research on what the standard and typical pay is for the type of job that you do, and keep it moving. And I've had the great fortune to have fostered relationships with the right type of people along the way that are constantly updating me and referring me to people who they want to refer and put me in contact with. Again, this goes back to my main integral point, which is maintain your database of people. Build real human relationships with people. Connect with people on a level aside from, do you have a job for me? Or can you invite me to an event? This is an industry, and every industry is fostered and grown by people. So the more human connectivity and human connections you have with people, you will be able to grow in your arena of expertise. And currently, we get to this point. Of course, with the global pandemic and other, personal occurrences in my life, I have put Avastave on a hold. However, that does not mean it's over. That does not mean it's not a success. That does not mean that I will never start it up again. But right now, for me, it makes no sense to continue a brand when I am working on freelance projects. I'm working on what my next venture will be. And there's so many other moving parts in my life that, I'm not at liberty to discuss at this moment on camera. However, my overarching theme of this video, and I hope this is what you take away from this video, is everyone's path is different. And how I really broke into fashion and journalism was a combination of focusing on my passion, meeting the right people, and working tirelessly to reach the highest version of myself. And I'm still learning and I'm still growing. And when people send me DMs, because I do receive messages from people that say things like, oh my God, who do you think you are, XYZ. I don't have that inflated a sense of ego about myself. Even though my Instagram videos may show me like covering my eyes and running around, I love creating a conversation with people. I love it when people engage with my content, and that's another element of my life that I'm focusing on. I do YouTube videos, I do the Instagram skits and Instagram pictures, I do freelance writing. Sometimes I feel like it's a hidden conversation where people wonder what I do, and I think the creative industry is ever evolving, so you really need to be able to do a multitude of jobs and keep moving forward. And I really hope that's what you take from this video, is to keep at it, keep moving forward, focus on the things that you can control, and let the other things go because they are of no importance. And going back to my initial joke at the start of this video, while it was a joke, yes, the opportunities in this place are plenty for people that are white. And the features that, people get in magazines and publications do have very much to do with the fact that they are Middle Eastern, because that's just what it is. However, that does not mean that you need to stop being yourself, that you need to change who you are. It means that you need to focus on international success, and international success comes globally. So if people in your specific region do not appreciate you, do not see your talent, do not celebrate who you are, don't sweat it, because other people will see you for who you are. Other people will see your work ethic, will see your work talent, will see the quality of what you deliver. Now, I didn't talk about this earlier because, to be honest, I completely forgot, my mind blanked. However, I did also, in between all of this, interview at a company that was for a very famous magazine. And I really thought I would end up working with them. However, they decided to hire someone who has styling experience as opposed to being able to craft and write and basically do what a journalist is supposed to do. However, I kept moving forward because that's all you can do in life. So remember, foster your database, keep your eye on the prize, and never let anyone get you down, because it's your life and you're going to be fabulous and you're doing amazing, sweetie. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.